Welcome. I'm the Deadwood Jedi. There's another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I have a very exciting video today. This is one of a comp that's been out there for a while. I just haven't done a video on it yet, and I've been meaning to. It just took me a while to actually build the team, but it's a very, very cool composition. And if you have a Sir Nicholas, this might be the best clan boss team that you can build with him. Now, I'm not saying this is affinity friendly. It really isn't. There's ways to get around it, but in general, this is not an affinity friendly type of team that we're building here. But it's very effective. Can easily get you to a 1 key, well, not easily. It can easily 2 key Ultra Nightmare. It has a potential to 1 key Ultra Nightmare as well, and can be as strong as any other Batman type of team. Whether you're talking about Batman Forever with using Tower and Warcaster, whether you're talking about the Batman, the Bat-Eater one with the Maneaters, any of those, this is going to be just as strong as that, because your damage champions are the same. And it actually has potential to put up more damage in some scenarios. But I suppose the biggest thing is we should talk about the champion so you have an idea of what it is. And so you know what the comp is. This is the Dark Knight comp, or also known as the War Crusher comp. But I like calling it the Dark Knight comp, keeping with that Batman theme is always fun. Plus it uses, I think, easily one of the Dark Knight champions of this game. This is who it relies upon. We're talking about Renegade, a rare champion. So let's take a look at all the champs. I said it relied on Renegade. I wasn't joking. This is one of the Night Revenants, another one of those Dark Knight champions. And she is, whatever as a champion. But she has some really interesting skills, particularly this one, Sacrifice Ritual, which decreases the cooldown of all ally skills by 2 turns. The skill does not affect this champion or other champions with the skill. This champ will receive damage equal to 30% of their max HP. This will happen even if it kills this champion. So she kills herself a little bit, hurts herself a bit, reduces the cooldown of all her allies. What's so remarkable about this is that if you only book it 1, it stays at a 6-turn cooldown. And by doing that, what we're doing is we are going to reset one of our unkillable champions so that they can place their unkillable buff up twice in a cycle, the same time every cycle, and then we're going to bring in another unkillable champion to take the stun. And it's a lot different from like a Maneater or even like a Batman Forever comp, because we don't need 2 AoE unkillable champions. We need 1 as a stun target, and then we need 1 who does the AoE. And for the AoE, with this comp, you can use 2 champions that usually won't cover something like this. One of them is Warcaster, who's just a phenomenal kind of champion. One of the epic unkillable champions that we have in this game. Very, very good at what he does. I'm trying to see if I can't find him here. He might be in my vault, which is good prep on my part there. Okay, here we go. Let's find him. So yes, one of them is Warcaster. Warcaster has an AoE skill, places block damage on all allies for 1 turn. It's a great ability. You can use him in this comp, and so it becomes an auto thing. He puts that up every time right before the AoE hits, and it keeps your team nice and handy. That's a really great one. The other champion, who I'm more excited about, and I think a lot of you will be too, because there's not very many comps that work with him on auto. This is one of them, though, is Sir Nicholas. You can use Sir Nicholas in this comp and have him place unkillable on all your allies each turn, and it works on auto, and it's great. He has that unkillable buff with the heal. Now, we all know Sir Nick has an issue where he prioritizes his shield buff over his unkillable buff. It's just kind of a quirky thing with Sir Nicholas. Because of that, because that's the issue, it actually does work well with Renegade. And the reason why is, while he's going to use this on the first attack, he'll use this on the second one. And because of the speeds we're at, that's going to be just fine. Now, depending on who you're using and where, the timing of some of these things, the speed at which they're going can change. But in general, yeah, this is going to work just fine like this. So we're going to bring Sir Nick in. I'm going to show you the Sir Nicholas comp. I'll talk to you about the difference between Sir Nick and Warcaster when we get there. Now, as far as the artifacts go, I only care about speed in this guy. So I try to get crit rate, but I really only cared about speed. So I'm going to show the stats really briefly, but honestly, this is not what you should be, thinking about. What you want to focus on is the speed. That's the key. So We've got 269 speed here for Sir Nick. He needs to be fastest. These are the same speeds as the Batman comp. The Dark Knight comp is on the website, so you can definitely check that out. I highly recommend it, actually. I do have Draco in this one, so you see I have him at, what, 219 speed right there. We're also going to bring in... Who else we have? We have Skull Crusher is going to be our stun target. And that's a pretty typical choice to use for this build. Doesn't have to be the only one, but he works really well as that. Obviously, putting the counterattack helps focus the stun attack onto him. And so you can see we have him at 241 right there. And then Renegade. Now, I have a level 60 Renegade who's fully booked. I can't use that one. I have to use the one that has the A3 only booked down by 1. That's really important. This has to stay on a 6-turn cooldown. If you fully book it, it won't work. So just be aware of that. But this one's only level 50. It's not even rolled up all the way. So it doesn't have to be full strength to work. And my Renegade is at 244 speed. Now, Renegade has to be slower than the next champion I'm going to show, Seeker, but has to be faster than Skull Crusher. It's the way it works in order to get the timing right, because you want Skull Crusher's ability to happen after after Renegade does the cooldown, right after, so that it works out just perfectly like that. I can go into it a little bit more as we go along. And then Seeker here, we have 249 speed. So that's the team. Let's take it in. The setup on this is shockingly simple. So let's go in and I will show you exactly how this team runs. Okay guys, so you can see in the calculator exactly how this sets up. It is full auto. There's nothing you need to do to set it up. There's no extra skills you have to press or anything like that. It's literally full auto. Now in this one, we have Warcaster in there, but everybody else is pretty much the same. Now, like I said, it's important to have Renegade speed be slower than Seeker, but faster than our stun target. That's it. We can go as low as 239 speed with our stun target, and everything should stay in sync. So there is a lot of wiggle room in there. You just want to check in the calculator before you start doing your runs. Now you can use Warcaster here, and as you can see, Warcaster will use that skill right here, their A3, the block damage skill, and then it'll come back up right before the AoE 1. Renegade will reset that skill here with the A3, and then it'll pop up again, that block damage, one more time before that second AoE, and it's going to work like that in perpetuity. Now, the interesting thing about Skull Crusher is Skull Crusher, when the reset happens, Skull Crusher will then use their A2 skill, the block damage skill, every time, and then it's going to be 3 more turns, and it's going to be back up again for the stun. So it's perfect timing on that. You actually get to have that up pretty much for the full fight, which is really nice. And so that's why one of the reasons why Skull Crusher is so good. Even with the delay on the stun, it doesn't matter, because even though that gets delayed, so that becomes a 4-turn cooldown instead of a 3. 1, 2. Well, here it gets reduced by 2, so it's up again and ready to go. That's one of the beauties with Renegade on this. Now we can use Sir Nicholas instead of Warcaster and get a very similar result, and pretty much identical result. And the reason why is Sir Nicholas prioritizes the A2 skill. This is his shield skill. It's not the one we want. But he prioritizes that shield skill. So after the reset, that skill is up, fresh and ready to go. Because of that, he's then going to use the unkillable skill right after that. Okay? And then after that, he's got 1, 2, there's that shield, 3, and then the 4-turn cooldown for that unkillable right there. Perfect timing for it. So he keeps that unkillable up every single AoE, just like clockwork. It's real hard to use Sir Nicholas in a auto composition. Renegade makes that possible, which is pretty remarkable, honestly. So until we get AI fixes in this game, this is going to be this is a wonderful way to use Sir Nicholas, to use Skull Crusher, and stay unkillable against the clan boss. So let's jump in and we'll show you the run. Go from there. Okay, we're about to jump into Ultra Nightmare. You can see the team right here. We have Skull Crusher. I have him in the lead because nobody has a good aura, and that'll help guide the stun. Draco, it's going to be our damage dealer. Sir Nicholas, Seeker, Renegade. Now, we could put Draco in a Relentless set. That's a totally reasonable thing to do. It's just like any other Batman team. But I didn't want to put my Relentless gear on him, so I didn't. So just FYI on that. If that is something you want to do, you can do that on Draco. Can't do that on any of the other champions. But you can put Relentless on Draco here. Auto. The only thing you have to do to make this comp run is hit the auto button. It's one of the only comps that I'm actually really aware of that you can just press auto right from the get-go and it works perfectly. I'm sure there's others out there, but this is one of the few. It's a beautiful team in that sense. The synergy with all the skills and the cooldowns is exceptionally good. Now, Sir Nicholas prioritizes their A2 ability. When Renegade cools everything down, he uses that first. That means his second attack between the AoEs is his unkillable ability. And then 4 turns later, when that is off cooldown, right before the AoE 1, he'll use it again. That's how you can use Sir Nick. That's how you can use Warcaster to stay unkillable with this composition. It's pretty remarkable, frankly. Now, the interesting thing, of course, is that Skullcrusher also has a unique usage in this team. He has a 3-turn cooldown as unkillable ability. So when that cooldown happens from Renegade, he's going to use that unkillable ability, the counterattack skill, and then 3 turns later, right before the stun, he'll be able to use it again. Now, Skullcrusher is unique in that he places counterattack on everybody else, and unkillable just on himself, so it helps to focus the stun targeting since the clan boss likes to avoid counterattack. But I built him, what I showed you was him built in full lifesteal. I had to make a change, actually. I ran this once and it didn't work, and the reason why was I built lifesteal on him. He's healing too much, so I had to take that off, and I'm just allowing Life Drinker to do enough healing so Skullcrusher can still be targeted, but stay low enough in health that the clan boss will prioritize him over the other enemies. The issue was Renegade, who hurts herself every time she uses that cooldown, wasn't healing enough. She is only level 50 in this comp, and so she was taking the stun later on in the fight. So making sure that you don't have too much healing on your Skullcrusher is pretty key. Otherwise, this comp is just really, really nice. It works really well. It's not great for affinity because obviously you need Skullcrusher to take the stun. You don't see any cleansing in here. You can always bring a Doom Priest in for Draco. That just really lowers your damage potential on a team like this. So being aware of that is important. You can always bring in other champions to take the stun. Gnarlhorn is a classic option, as is Hatchet Slinger. But you're going to have to time out those cooldowns. And to be honest with you, folks, I am not 100% sure what they are. So I haven't come up with any great alternatives to Skullcrusher for this. I really feel like this is a Void Affinity Clan Boss team. Just a very, very effective one at that. Yes, you can use Warcaster instead of Sir Nicholas, but you cannot use Tower. The duration of that block debuff will mess with Renegade, and she won't use her skills, so just be aware that it is a Tower Sir Nicholas only type of team. But that's enough explaining the run. I'll let you guys watch the rest of this. We'll just jump to the end here so you can kind of see the damage output this can do. So that's the Dark Knight comp. I mean, it's a pretty cool little build. You know, I thought it was pretty ingenious that somebody came up with it. It wasn't me. But being able to use Renegade to cool down Sir Nicholas, to be able to cool down Warcaster, are really, really smart moves. Now, this comp has been around for a while. So, I mean, it's been around, I want to say, for a good 6 months or so. I've seen it kind of poke its head here and there. I didn't have speed, so I wasn't able to like figure it out or put it together. But I know there's been a couple videos out there about that. But a variety of people have come up with this. It's very, very smart, really, really ingenious. And I'm a big fan of it, you know. And I feel like this is the kind of thing that opens up our minds to possibilities that maybe are a little bit outside of the box. You know, the idea of using Renegade period is a little bit unique, but that's a great way to cool down 4-turn skills. You know, something I honestly wouldn't have thought about before. So a lot of potential there with that. Really, really kind of fun team. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. I know people have been clamoring for a non-Maneater team. There you go. I will have some non-unkillable teams as well. But, you know, just know, there's nothing new and original coming down the pipe as far as speed tunes. That ship, I think we've mined a lot of that already. Now it's just about using champions and using them to the best way possible. So we'll start exploring some of that, maybe explain some of the factoring that goes into determining, you know, what skill you use when, or how you go about tuning stuff. Some of that stuff I think a lot of you would find interesting. As always, if you enjoyed the music, hit that Soundstripe link down below. You can sign up, use code DeadwoodJedi, save 15%. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all we got for you guys. Hopefully this was enjoyable for you. Hit that subscribe, like button, and as always, till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.